Hi guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be showing you a pretty interesting interior mod. We're going to be turning these standard seat belts into these pretty cool red ones. It's a company called KolourKoncept. We'll link them in the description, and they've hooked us up with some pretty cool seat belts. We've got a huge range of colours. We've chosen red just because it kind of stands out. So we've done one side. We're going to show you the process on this side. It's a bit of a pain, but it's definitely worth it. First thing we're going to do is remove these little covers here. This reveals some Torx T50 screws. There are 3 of them, 1, 2 and 3. The reason for this is this little door bin on the Corsa E. I'm not entirely sure if it's the same in the D models as well, but it really restricts the removal of this trim piece here. So by removing this, we can just kind of prop up the seat. Next step is to remove these 2 pieces of trim. Pop this one first because it slides. That one slides underneath it. And with the newfound access, we're going to remove this rubber door sealing. Just revealed a fairly important clip, so take note of that, make sure you've still got that at the end. So next up is to make sure that this seatbelt adjuster is right at the top. And the reason for that is all of this sort of trim here goes right down into this plastic bit here and actually stops you removing it. So with it up to the top, we can now remove this section here. So this is the clip we talked about earlier, that holds the trim at the bottom. So these 2 pieces locate in 2 holes up at the top in there. And finally, this little bit in here fits into these 2 bits here, and that's your adjustment piece there. So as I explained earlier on, with it up at the top, you know, this bit's free. Otherwise that would have been blocking us removing it. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to peel back the felt here. That's going to allow us to release the seatbelt from its ground anchor. And with a flathead screwdriver, we're just going to pop this little clip here, which releases the belt. This now allows us to feed all of this back through this plastic mechanism here. Next up, remove this Torx T20 screw here. So that's the only screw holding on this piece of trim, but unfortunately there are also 25 million clips that we're now going to have to deal with. So with that top clip removed, we've now got to pull back this trim. Now the inertia reel mechanism of the seatbelt sits inside here. And as we explained earlier, we've removed these seat bolts because this door bin sits nicely up against the seat and stops you getting any movement. So we're going to prop this seat up, which should allow us to get the door bin just underneath it. We use a really high-tech wooden brick here, and that just buys us enough movement. So although the door bin is a pain in the neck, by putting your hand inside and lifting up, you can remove most of the clips. The clips look like this, and they slide over the little grommet, and that's what holds it in place. So by lifting it up, we can actually remove a lot of these trim pieces that sit about there. And there's a perfect shot of the clips we've just removed. There's a couple of them deeper in the trim as well. And here's a shot of the floor pin we also removed with that motion, and that sits just here. Unfortunate Vauxhall design is that the trim slides underneath the seat rail, so with a wee bit of persuasion you've kind of got to bend it out. Right, so as I explained earlier, this is the inertia reel down here. It's another T50 bolt. So what we're going to do is, for our extra clearances, we've got a very short T50 bit like this and a 10mm ring spanner, and we're just going to undo this bolt from here. Next thing we're going to do is just slip the seat belt round past this little retainer clip here, and that just frees it up from the top. And finally we've got another Torx T50 up here. First step, I'm going to just offer up our new seat belt onto the height adjuster here, and that's the T50 going back on now. So because this is an adjustable mechanism, we're not going to go mad with the tightness, we're just going to snug up the hardware there. So because it's an inertia reel, you've got to be really gentle when you're reeling out the belt like that. We're just going to give ourselves some distance to fit it all back through, and through this little retaining loop here as well. Right, a closer look at the inertia reel mechanism here. We've got these little retaining lugs that sit on little slots inside there, and we've got our Torx T50 screw again. You can just see on top of there some little indents that they sit on top of. Everything has lined up. We're just going to screw our little bolt back in, and you can see the little indents that the lugs have sat in. With the reel securely back in place, it's just a case of getting all of this trim back into the correct place and lifting this piece of trim up and over these two little clips that we explained to you earlier. If you're having some difficulty getting the trims over the top of these, just remove them with a set of pliers, grip over the top, and what that lets you do is here, slide them under yourself, and then they can just get banged into their little locating slots there. Tighten them up, down a little bit, perfect. Perfect. Right, and the bottom clips here just look like this, and they fit into the plastic here and pop down into the chassis. And with a rubber mallet you can just knock in your remaining rubber seal, make sure it's nice and tight in the door. And just replace your 3 T50 bolts to secure your seats back in place, and refit your plastic trim covers. And we're going to refit this piece of trim here. So the ground anchor part of the belt goes through this little slot first, followed by the belt clip. So ensuring there's not a twist in the belt, we can just click the ground anchor back in, and that just goes in with a little pop. And these two prongs locate into 2 holes in the roof. We fit them first, and then we're going to line up the adjustment mechanism. This little clip in here has to line up with this little hole in here. And with a set of pliers, we'll just straighten out this clip a little bit. And you know you're doing it right because you get a nice reassuring little click every time something fits up where it should. Right, a couple little bangs here, just make sure that clip lines up, and pull your rubber seal over the trim here. Fine, and double check that your seatbelt adjuster works properly, and refix your felt cover here, just to make sure that's not sat about. Now you can use some fabric glue if you feel like it. Our one's fairly sticky enough, so we're just going to wrap it back around now. So with everything replaced, this is the final look, and I think it goes really well with the interior. think it's a nice contrast between our painted Recaro inserts here. If you've not seen that video, you can also give that a little watch. But thank you very much for watching today, guys. If you've got any questions or you've got any other mods you'd like to suggest, feel free to give us a shout in the comments. But as always, thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. See you next time, guys.